How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Hot Gamers Only, the show that we talk about everything that's hot in the world of games. I just kind of had a mind blank then. I'm your host, Ethan, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host with the co-most. It's Hunter. Hey, Hunter, how's it going?
You know me, just following the swell of the wind.
I hate you so I was about to drink and I just didn't even have a chance. I'm also joined by the Weeb Wonder himself. It's Kyle. Hey, Kyle. How you doing, man?
Doing pretty well. Just blew into town. You know how it is.
I hate you both. I genuinely hate you both. If you can't tell by the amount of puns that are going on, it's our Ghost of Tsushima First Impressions episode this week. Hooray, it's finally out. It's finally here. We're here to talk about being a samurai and all that good stuff. It is. Spoiler alert. But before that, let's get into... Thank you, Carl. Before that, let's get into some quick little housekeeping stuff. That's the word that I was trying to struggle for before the podcast. I got it in the end. Some housekeeping for you. There's an Xbox conference next week. We haven't decided what we're going to do for it, but we will be doing something for it. So keep an eye out on our Twitter account at TheGigersYT to keep up to date with everything regarding that. I believe it's next Thursday, if I'm right about that. So we'll see. We're probably going to be doing something about it. At least I will. I don't know about everyone else. We'll see when the time comes. Other things, this podcast goes up every Monday at 5 p.m. UK time, 12 p.m. Eastern. So you can catch it on podcast services everywhere and on youtube.com and SoundCloud. If you could do us a favor, we'd really appreciate it. Head to bit.ly/thegiggers. That'll take you to our YouTube page. Hit us with a sub. We would really appreciate it. On our way to 100 subs. They're the hardest ones to get, so please just go over there. Here's with a sub. We'd really appreciate it.
Get the ball rolling. URL.
We need the custom URL. We do have the Bitly now, though, so I'm feeling pretty great about it. Yeah. You can find us everywhere. So go ahead, pick your podcast service of choice. If you go to Linktree, that's linktr.ee, because of course, /hotgamersonly, you'll have a massive list of where we are. We're everywhere, so don't you worry about that. Other than that, I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I think that's everything in housekeeping. So let's get into Ghost of Tsushima. Tsushima, whatever. I'm just going to say it wrong all the time. I assume it's Tsushima. Let's get into it. What is everyone's initial thoughts? I'll go to Hunter first, I guess. How much have you played? That's a good start. And what are your initial impressions?
Well, I've played... I don't really know how to answer how much have you played. Yeah. I've played for several hours, but you know... I've done enough to get the first couple of main quests out of the way, along with just some random exploring here and there. And I really like it so far. The combat is cool because it feels like how you would expect a thing about samurai should. Like, rather than whacking things for like 10 minutes, it's just a couple of hits here and there after you break their guard, which is really cool. I enjoy that, as well as the different ways that different enemies have... The different stances you can do to break different enemies' guards and the ways that you have to deal with them is really cool that way too. Elsewhere. Yeah. As far as being like an open world adventure game, it is really good at contextualizing things that are always present in these kind of games, but making them feel more immersive. Like the wind blowing is essentially just that little neon trail that leads you to quests. Except it's cooler because it has an in-universe reason to exist.
We'll talk all about the UI and all the aesthetic choices that they made with this game. Kyle, what are your initial thoughts?
I really enjoy the game so far. The combat, like Hunter said, the combat's a ton of fun. I like how there's basically two different modes you can go. You can either go tried and true samurai, or you can like sneak around and get assassin kills, which is what I usually go for. Big fan of that. I just like all the variation in gameplay. As for the open world aspect, it's really good without being too overbearing. Yeah, the whole world flows together very nicely, and yes, it's massive, but it never feels like the game's asking too much from you. And if you just wanted to do main quests, those are marked off on your map, so you don't have to worry about like where's the next quest, how do I progress the story. Yeah, game is good. Horse riding's fun.
Yeah, so for
Despite
me, I'm
how
a little,
much you guys may be abusing them.
I hit my horse once. Don't yell at me.
Whoever thought that the action button should be R2 in this game really needs to have a think
I
about their life
know.
decisions,
You
because
see-
that's the worst button to put everything on.
You see, I felt like the game did a good job at establishing that R2 does everything before it gave you
Oh,
your
it does,
horse
but I'm
and
still
all
just in the
that.
habit. I'm just in the habit of playing every other game where it's triangle to get on the horse. So every time I just swipe it with my katana and it runs off, and I have to chase it for 5 minutes, going, "I'm sorry,
See,
please."
Come back, Sora.
I haven't smacked my horse with my sword yet, but I've accidentally broken its legs by jumping off of cliffs that
No, I do that all
are
the time.
magically too high, even though, I swear I jump off of higher ones and it lands sometimes.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
You don't take any fall damage from that.
It's all
Not
good.
that.
The horse breaks your fall.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all fine. In terms of me, I'm a bit further behind on you guys. Slightly because I've just not been playing it as much, other because I've been doing some work today, so I haven't had really much time to play it. But I'm like 8 hours in, and I've been taking a different approach to you two, where I've done like one mission this entire time, and the other 7 hours I've literally just been faffing around, walking around the island of Tsushima. To me, the best like compliment I can give this game is this is what Assassin's Creed's been trying to do for the past 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Assassin's Creed has wanted to be.
Like ever
Sucker
since they
Punch just did
switched
it in
up
their
their
first
style.
go. Yeah, Sucker Punch has just done it in the first try without even batting us like an eyelid. This to me is what Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey should have been, where you still have that greater sense of exploration and a deeper sense of like RPG mechanics, where it's you're playing the character. There's no more like, essentially for you two who haven't really been big in Assassin's Creed lately, they're trying to get away from the animus. This is just a person reliving memories, where it's like, you become the protagonist, you become Cassandra in Odyssey or whatever, where it's like you go on her quest and you can do whatever you want and the world's open, but it's level grindy as hell. There's so many like stops along your way, and they just try and they're trying to make the game an RPG and stopping it from being an RPG at the exact same time. It's like, we want you to feel free, but here's a boundary until you get to level 10 and stuff like that.
Sounds like modern Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it's not great, but just from the opening of this game, which is extremely linear, and it kind of puts you in a false sense. You play the first like 30-40 minutes and it's extremely linear and you're just kind of following the story path, but then it just opens and it does that Breath of the Wild moment where it's just like, yeah, you can go now wherever you want. We're not going to tell you what to do here. This is your world now. Go have fun with it.
And it never really feels like the game tries to gatekeep you anywhere either.
No.
Yeah, like
other
it's
than,
very
like, a couple places where I know there was one shrine that I got to where it said you don't have the item to complete this yet. So other than that, like, it didn't stop me from going there and learning that I couldn't do that, but
I've come across a couple fortresses that won't let you in until later, apparently, but that's all right.
Yeah.
That's like the one where they're keeping the guy.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I went near that place and just died instantly.
See, like we've compared it to Breath of the Wild in conversation before, so I was wondering, like, could I just rush to them and try and do this as soon as I wanted if I felt like it? And the answer was no, but it was worth a shot.
It's not Breath of the Wild in that way. But I feel like very much with the world, with just the island of Tsushima and the world design that they've gone for and the exploration that they've gone for, especially with how open it is from the get-go, you can very much see the inspiration from Breath of the Wild in this. And I feel like that's what this game is. It's not necessarily creating anything. It's not necessarily like creating brand new gameplay, right? It's not exactly being completely innovative. God, say the word properly. On all the concepts that it's trying to go for, but it's gone and it's looked for inspiration. It's like, I really like that mechanic and that thing and the exploration of this, and it's just tried to put it all together to just make a perfect like samurai like feudal Japan game, and it works really well for what it wants to do. So what do you want to start off with? I don't know. You guys know more about this game than me at this point, so I'll let you two start the conversation off, I guess. No pressure.
We wanted to start talking about the intro.
Sure.
Yeah, go
that
for
whole intro cinematic.
Yeah, that was
go for
cool.
Yeah, so there's probably going to be gaps in what I remember because I've only done it once. But so the whole intro cinematic starts with you and your army of samurai going against like an army of like counter army of Mongols.
Massively outnumbered on your
Yeah.
side there. There's like 80 of you.
And a lot of them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And
Big
then
numbers.
it ultimately leads to like the leader of your clan getting captured. And so it's up to you, Jin, to try and get him out of jail, which
basically
does not work.
It's kind of the Last Samurai kind of setup where everyone's dead except for you, and your uncle's been taken by the head of the Mongols, and it's your job to, at least for now, it's your job in the early game to get your uncle back by convincing fellow residents of the island to help you invade this fortress, because you can't do it by yourself.
I found it interesting that as soon as he was able to walk again, they just set him straight at the guy. For a minute, I figured that it was like, oh, hold off, build up our forces, and then attack, rather than him just being like, I'm going to kill all of them right now.
I do wonder if it's possible to win that fight.
Oh, it absolutely isn't.
Aw.
I started doing some damage, and then it got to a point where you get so far into the fight, and he just blocks all of your attacks, and he just starts going for the instant, like, you can't dodge these moves, like, until your health bar's gone to 0. So I tried my hardest to survive as much as I could, but it just wasn't happening.
See,
I'd like to see someone try.
I was trying to be fancy and get like parries in against him. I just ate it immediately.
That sounds about right.
Man. That guy.
But no, it very much the few performance, this game seems to be running pretty well. The only couple of performance issues that I ran into was very much at the start. There's that part where you're running down the hill, which is literally the first bit that you play, and it was kind of a bad. I was like, oh, this is a bad start, because I was running down the hill and my frame rate dropped to must have been like low like teens. Like it'd go really, as the fire arrows were raining down, everyone was dying everywhere. The frame rate just took a massive tank, and I'm like, I hope that was a one-off, and fortunately it is. But like I say, the first 45 minutes of this game very much aren't what the game really is. It's in a weird way. It's like, it very much is like an action set piece.
Yeah.
But it's kind of misleading in what the game truly is from the minute-to-minute gameplay kind of loop that they've implemented. But yeah, so let's talk about the world of Tsushima in general. How are you feeling about the world design and all the things that are available to do in this world so far?
I really like it. I think that the things that they've got for you to do are rather varied, and they managed to make the environments different enough to make it not feel stale, despite you being on the same island the whole time so far.
Yeah. Kyle?
The whole game just looks super fucking pretty.
Yeah, it does.
There's no two ways about it. The game looks so good.
Yeah, it's one of the best looking games on PS4 by far. The only thing that threw me off initially, I mentioned it to you guys when we first started, was the facial animations. Gosh, I can't talk today. The facial animations are a bit janky, and I don't know if that's just me being a snob just coming off of The Last of Us Part 2, where Naughty Dog is very much well known for their facial animations, where they genuinely like record the performer's face, but they don't use the mocap data at all. They hand animate every frame of the faces. So maybe I'm just like, oh, we've gone from that to a bit jankier, like not fully forced. But other than that, the game's absolutely gorgeous. The scenery is some of the best I've seen, even surpassing Last of Us 2 in some areas. Like the draw distance on the island is fucking incredible. How far you can actually see into the distance.
Even just like summoning the wind in like a field and seeing all the particles just fly around you. Just
doing it when you're around like flowers and stuff is real cool.
Yeah.
I really like how they really nailed the aesthetic that they were going for. Whether it's, if you want to have I can't remember what the specific name of it is, the Japanese theater mode, essentially, where it's in black and white and it's all grainy and it's like an old samurai movie. Whether it's like that or if it's just the overall presentation itself, the lack of HUD in this game is incredible. The fact that they managed to make so much of what would you'd usually see in a HUD, like a mini map and like a compass and all this stuff, just baked it into the environment and the mechanics, like the wind moving around
and the golden birds to lead you off, and
the golden birds that lead you, the foxes,
smoke plume.
just seeing smoke in the distance and knowing that means, oh, there's smoke in the distance, that means there's probably something there that I'm interested in, right? It's just like, it's all those visual cues that really just help you, instead of, it's one of the few open world games that I've played recently where I'm not opening up the map every 2 minutes to just go, okay, what's around here?
It's a lot of the game telling you what to do without telling you what to do.
Yeah. And I love it when games do that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Super Metroid here.
Yeah, exactly. One of the best examples.
Yeah, it gently shoves you. It doesn't hold your hand going, here, I'm gonna walk with you all the way to this fucking sauna, right? It's just like, hey, there's some steam over there and there's a bird. Just go see if you can find it and have a look.
Yeah.
I just remember when the three of us were playing it in call. We were all off doing our own little things.
Oh, yeah, it's very much it's cool going from a game like The Last of Us Part 2, where the only thing you can with that game really describe, you can talk about the gameplay to an extent, but it very much is, where are you in the story? Like,
yeah.
When it was the conversation with Hunter, when we did our first impressions, we just had to go, okay, I've got up to this point. Can we just talk about the story up to this point and everyone walk away? Because we really need to talk about some of the stuff that happens, because I feel like I can't. Whereas this game is like, I'm not asking like you two when we're talking about it off the podcast, oh yeah, how far are you in the story? It's just like, oh, what have you seen? What have you done? What have you come across? It's very much, I haven't had this experience with a game since Breath of the Wild, really, where it's like...
Yeah, a lot of it's making your own story with the encounters you're having and all that.
Yeah.
The story isn't the destination in a way. It's like, you're just like, okay, I'm gonna say there's a main quest. For example, they do this thing where they put 2 of the main quests very early on, right at the bottom of the island.
Yep.
And you're like at the top of your section. I should mention that it's like cut into thirds and you're stuck in the first third. I think all of us are still stuck in that first third, right?
Yeah.
Of the island, right?
Yep.
And the game very much goes, oh, it's all the way down there. And I was like, oh, I'm going to start making my way over there. And I still haven't. It's got to the point where I just like, okay, let's go there. Oh, but there's this thing over here and there's an undiscovered location over there. And there's a bird telling me to go this way. So I'll just follow that for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it very much is like Breath of the Wild, where it's like, oh, I need to go do this thing, but there's 20 million shrines in the way. So let's go do this shrine. And oh, there's a puzzle over here. And just like little things like that, that it very much, the story just, I feel like the story's going to be strong. And I feel like at some point it's going to pick up a bit more, but at least for the early game,
it's definitely,
the story is not much of my
concern.
Yeah. Very much the exploration and gameplay is what's leading me to carry on playing through the game.
Because even if you compare it to something like Xenoblade Chronicles, like, yeah, it's a huge open world game, but
the story was definitely what I was there for.
No, yeah, we had that conversation in our first impressions and our spoiler cast, where it's like very much with a game like Xenoblade, the story is what's driving you forward.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't click with the gameplay loop. Where as a game like Breath of the Wild, it is the gameplay loop, right? Same with this. Like, I feel like if it wasn't such a consistent gameplay loop, I probably wouldn't be playing it, because it just, the story, I'm sure that the story really does pick up in the second half. And I've heard from countless people who have finished the game and the reviewers and such that the story does really pick up. It's a slow burn, but it will pick up a bit later on. I'm like, okay, that's good. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not really fussed that it where we are right now.
Right now, it's going just fine. Just, building up our legend and all that, as they are referring to it in the game.
But also, I personally am not really playing this game for the story.
I don't think, I wasn't either, and I don't think anyone is. I don't think anyone was coming into this game for the story, because Sucker Punch did a really good job of not telling anyone anything about this game.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, like with the last, you were going to play Last of Us Part 2 for the story. Even with games like God of War was heavily promoted as a story thing, And I don't think maybe Horizon was more of one of these where it was like, oh, the gameplay loop is what looks interesting, so I'll buy it for the gameplay loop, and the story will come later. And then hopefully, like Horizon, there's a great story hidden beneath.
Yeah,
the great
Horizon's
gameplay
story
loop.
was top notch for being what it was.
So yeah, hopefully we'll see more of it in the future. Let's move on to gameplay then, I guess. What are your initial thoughts on the overall combat loop and the 20 million upgrades that there are? Because my god, is there too many upgrades in this game in a way.
You know, it's cool because a lot of times with upgrade trees and stuff, it feels like I get the tree and I'm choosing the one I want to go through, and I'm getting a bunch of filler stuff in between. A lot of this feels like either I can bypass the stuff I don't feel like taking and just take the ones I want, or ignore it completely. And it's nice that I don't feel like I'm wasting my time with other things. Like, I feel like it would take a lot longer to get the do the 3 standoffs in a row move in any other game.
Kill 3 people in a standoff. Yeah.
Like, I got that and the assassination equivalent really quick. And I feel like that's like an end game thing for any other kind of game that does this just arbitrarily.
Yeah. And I mean, it still does have that in some of its upgrade trees. Like, they're literally, if you haven't played the game, there's generally like 3 pages full of upgrades and stuff, right? Where you have your samurai upgrades are very much your classic kind of skill trees where there's 2 of them. And you have to go in order, right? You have to go from the top to the bottom, and then it's the ghost ones where you can kind of just pick and choose what you want at any point, really. And that's where I've been mainly spending my upgrade points, is in the ghost section.
Me too.
Ghost section, and also I've been putting points into the blocking tree because being able to block arrows and spear guys is nice.
Oh, I did not think about that.
Blocking spear guys would be so nice.
Yeah, right?
Although now I've got the wind stance, so...
Yeah, I just got that too.
Just don't get hit, smiley face.
Smiley face.
Simple as that. Simple as that. How are you feeling of the combat in general? A lot of people... I don't know. I've not played like any of the games that you could really... I don't know. Describe, like, compare this to. That's the word. Jeez. Compare it to. Like, I haven't played Sekiro. I've seen people play Sekiro.
I've played a little bit of Sekiro, and I wouldn't really describe this. Sekiro is a lot more like mechanically intense, and you need to pay way more attention. I guess the thing that they share in common is you got to stagger your enemies. Guard. But that's about it.
That's where the comparison stops.
Really, if we wanted to keep in line with comparing it to like Assassin's Creed or something,
it's nothing like Assassin's Creed. That's the thing. That's why I went to Sekiro for a comparison, because I'm like, it's nothing like Assassin's Creed's combat right now.
You see, it's kind of like what I remember the old ones being like, except less mindless.
Yeah, it's kind of like more classic.
In the first game, in the first couple, you could kind of just hold R1 and wait to counter and win, right? In this game, it's more like, actually time your parries and it will kill them quicker than...
Yeah, I guess it is more like old Assassin's Creed than it is, because it's nothing like New, because New has its light and its heavy attacks, but the thing is, with new Assassin's Creed combat is, the thing that I hate about new Assassin's Creed combat is it's just chip damage. It genuinely is. You have to hit the guy with your sword like 50 fucking times, and then they'll die. There's no gratification with the new Assassin's Creed combat. It does have like the light and the heavy attacks, but if we're making those comparisons, then we can just go fucking to God of War and say the exact same thing.
You can go to just about anything that has 2 kind of attacks now. But if you wanted to make that comparison.
But yeah, Ghost's combat, it feels actually satisfying, and it feels like you're actually wielding a sword, whereas it feels like you've got like a fucking foam baton when in Assassin's Creed, you have to fucking hit them around the head so many times. And it just doesn't feel satisfying. It's like when I saw I saw a clip of the new Assassin's Creed Valhalla, the next gen Assassin's Creed game, right? And there's just a clip, and it's just the same thing. It's just hit them around the head all the time. And then I saw an animation of like your character hitting a guy in the neck with an axe, right? And nothing happens. Like there's just like a bit of blood spatter, but the head's still perfectly fine, and nothing's gone crazy with it. It's just like, oh, cool. It's like nothing matters. There's no weight to anything in Assassin's Creed. Whereas in this game, you feel the fucking even though you don't necessarily like see everything, you're not cutting like bodies in half necessarily, right? But you still feel the weight of the blade, and you still feel like, hey, I'm actually dealing damage here.
I think an important thing to mention too is, as easy as it is for you to cut through everyone else, if you're not careful, you can get messed up real quick too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Hal's a bitch. Like, you die in like 1 to 2 hits. It's crazy.
Yeah. Or you need to at least heal in a few hits.
I've died so many times in this game. Like
I just bought the revive upgrade.
Oh, is there a revive upgrade?
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't know that was one.
There's a couple of times where I've been down to like one sword dude, and I try to be cute and like parry them a little bit, but just to practice my timing and stuff, and end up dying. And I'm like, man, well, that's a bummer.
Yeah,
but it happens. It's funny though. So even though you cut through enemies quickly, they can take you down just as well, and it's not like really you're just good as far as balance.
Army.
Yeah, especially in like, although even when you do have one-on-ones, some of them are really fucking hard. Like to get, there's some special moves you can unlock, right, if you do some quests. And that first one with the lightning and everything,
God, that was so the heavenly
that
strike.
final boss, I must have the heavenly strike guy, I must have died to him like 3 times, like honestly, because I was just like,
really now,
he just kept getting me in a corner and beating the shit out of me, and I'm like, great, this is fun.
Nice.
But then it was just me being dumb, and then obviously the time that you do it, you like hardly get hit, but because that's just how these games go, right? But yeah, there's been a lot of times where it's like I've died a lot, but I haven't really felt like this is bullshit. It's all my own fault. It's not.
It also helps that it's not really much of a setback.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if you're doing like one of the enemy camps and you've got those specific objectives, if you die, it saves your progress on said objective. Like, if you need 3 banners and grab 2, you'll only need 1 left when you respawn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very graceful with its checkpoint system. It plays very nice to you. Like, it's like, okay, you don't have to go too bad. Like, if you die in a boss fight, you're just right back at the start. You don't have to watch any of the cutscenes again or anything like that, which I appreciate.
I really like the way they handled boss fights. Yeah, there's no option. I really liked the way they handled boss fights, the way they like lock in the camera a little closer. It makes it feel real intense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had one with a side character who I don't know if you have met in the world yet, where it starts off with the boss fight, like a normal boss fight with the camera angles and stuff like that. And then literally as soon as it starts and you like get your sword out, the guy just starts like crawls onto goes into a ball on the floor and goes, no,
he like begs off. Yeah, I found that.
And I just like stuff like that. I was like, oh, that's funny, Especially because you made me go through the 20 seconds of cutscenes waiting for the fight to start, all for it to just go, no, I'm sorry, and then play another minute of cutscenes. Or like,
it was funny.
Yeah, thanks for that. But no, I really like the combat system, especially you have this choice in the game essentially to swap between. You have like 2 kind of ways of going about things. You can go just guns blazing, which is the samurai route, where you just literally start screaming at people to come at you. For honor, apparently honor in Japan is just screaming very loudly until people come, and then you stab them.
Whereas standoffs are satisfying.
Standoffs are great. Cool. Whoever came up with the standoff mechanic, well done, because it works really well. And there's something satisfying, especially when you have it upgraded to just slash down 3 people at the start of a fight instantly.
Oh yeah.
Pan the camera around to look at you as their bodies fall. It's real good.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. And you just see like the slash as well, just like the UI. I really like that. It's really well done. Something that you've probably done more than myself, because most of the time I do just go in guns blazing, slashy, stab. You, Kyle, have been going more of the assassin route when you can.
Yeah.
Or the ghost route, I guess, as it's called. So do you want to go in depth a bit and talk about how the ghost route kind of works?
Yeah, the ghost route, it definitely focuses more on like stealth action gameplay, which I'm a big fan of that from Sucker Punch's other game, Sly Cooper. That little node.
There's a really cool Easter egg. There's actually a really big Easter egg for Sly Cooper in this game.
Ooh.
Which gives me hope that Sly still has a future, because the infamous Easter egg is you can get a bandana for Jin, which is just Delson's beanie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like it's still a bandana, but it's got like his little like leather tag from his beanie, and it's the red. It's the same like crimson red that was his beanie, which is cool. But Sly Cooper's basically got an entire outfit based around him, including a headband with the Cooper cane on it, a color set for one of the armor pieces, and a sword that might have a raccoon tail on it and everything. And it's all, and there's even a trophy behind it. So I really like how much effort they went into it. Yeah. So Sly got some big love in this game, which was quite nice, especially because, I mean, Sucker Punch has always been good in all their past games. Like Infamous Second Son has Sly graffiti everywhere and a Delson and a Sly Cooper logo on his backpack and stuff like that. Like there's always been the Easter eggs, right? But that one made me laugh. But anyway, go back to Ghost Mode.
Yeah, so the Ghost Mode that's focused on more on like stealth action. You got this cool like drop down from a ledge and stab someone move, and then you can upgrade that to be like a chain, turn it to like a chain kill. I don't know. To me, there's something more satisfying about doing that than just the guns blazing samurai route. It just feels more, I don't know. I don't like getting too overwhelmed by enemies, so if I can deal with them less in smaller numbers, that's cool. I like sniping people off their perches with arrows. That shit's cool.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen in the Sony State of Play what it was like. It's kind of like, I know you've played Arkham Knight Hunter. There's very much like a fear takedown move, which is very similar to Arkham Knight, where if you assassinate one person, it kind of goes into slow motion. You can look at someone else and stab them too, which is very Arkham Knighty. Which that was like one of my favorite things in Arkham Knight, was just going into a room and destroying everyone. Say that again, Hunter.
I said arguably the best thing that game did.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It was really cool. But no, seeing that's cool. I don't know. I just haven't had a chance yet. There's not been like a massive, and I know that they're out there, but there hasn't been like a big area yet for me to do it.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been kind of put off it, because most of the time I'm going and acting like I'm Hitman, right? I'm just going around countering everyone, stabbing everyone, literally just pulling out my bow mid-fight just to kill someone real quick and then getting the sword back out. Like, I'm just like fucking going for like the montage, dude. I'm going for like the montage clip of samurai assassination, but that's just the way I've been playing it. How about you, Hunter? Which way have you been
I've kind of
going for?
Using a mix of both of them, and I think it's to the game's credit that you can do that, because a lot of times if you got to pick one way to do it, you kind of get locked into doing it, or you're kind of stuck wishy-washy both ways, and I think you can actually jump back and forth between them in this game pretty well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go and challenge I'll be walking up to one of those enemy camps and go and challenge them to a standoff, and then kill a couple of guys around me, and then as I'm aggroing them, the rest of the camp over to the entrance I'm standing at, I'll run around the cliff and like go in the back way, and then wait for them to go back to their spots, and then kill a couple guys from the shadows and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's fun manipulating the patterns of them like that. They did the way they alert you to being seen is cool.
Yeah.
Lens flare type thing. Metal Gear Solid 5 did that, and I thought it was real effective to not like be an overt, hey, giant flat red flash.
This is a video game.
Yeah.
Now, I like I say, most of the decisions that they made with the UI and just overall look of this game, they did really well. I think that's if the game nails one thing, it's its art design, and just the overall presentation of the game is really great. I'm actually more excited, especially because it's definitely coming, right? They're definitely going to do a next gen at least a next gen patch or whatever for both this and Last of Us Part 2. And out of the both of them, I'd be more excited to see what this game does, just because this game's fucking beautiful, right? Like, Last of Us looks nice, it looks clean, but my god, that game's so depressing. I don't want to touch that game again for a long time. Whereas this game, I can see myself going back and going, okay, I actually want to see what this looks like beefed up, because it really does show. I feel like it's kind of bittersweet for Sucker Punch, because Sucker Punch only has released 2 games this generation, really 3 if you count First Light, but where they had very much Infamous Second Son, which when it came out, everyone was like, wow, so this is what you can do on next gen, and now they've got Ghost of Tsushima at the very end, and they were showing people what was possible with PS4, and now they're showing the full potential. I feel like that's kind of bittersweet because we don't really have any other Sony developers that have kind of done the same, really, that haven't had this opportunity to have a game released both at the start and the end, and it's such a massive difference when you look at the both of them. It's pretty great. Is there anything else I wanted to add that we haven't talked about already? I don't know. Can you guys think of anything?
Another thing as far as enemy camps and doing the combat goes is they have optional goals for you when you run into a bunch of them, so it's a good way for them to encourage you to switch things up.
I haven't encountered those yet.
Yeah, like...
So what are they like?
So, for example, I came across one earlier that was like, kill 3 enemies with headshots without being discovered or whatever. So that was something that I tried to do, even though I don't like the bow and arrow that much, just because, hey, why not? Extra experience and all that. And they varied from that to like do 3 assassinations without being discovered, break the spear guy's stance or shield guy's stance, you know, a couple of things like that.
Get kills with your sub weapons.
Yeah. Oh yeah, get kills with the kunai. I'm like, I didn't even realize that could kill people. I thought it was just for stunning.
I mean, it does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
That and the sticky bomb
does quite
really
a bit.
Freaking good.
Yeah.
I see. I don't have the sticky bomb because I was an idiot and got the wind chime that I've never used.
I got yeah, why'd you get the wind chime when you go guns blazing?
Because I was like, maybe I'll do some self soon. I don't know. I was prepping myself because the thing is, Hunter, when I've very much been brute forcing myself. Like I said, I'm like a hitman, dude. I go in with my bow and arrow out, I'm walking and shooting people. I'm not in cover, dude. I'm just full out in the open and stabbing everyone. So I was like, maybe one day I'll do stealth, and when I do, I'll have a wind chime. That'll be my iconic thing, dude. I'll throw a wind chime at them before I stab them. That'll be my thing now. Maybe I should try that.
I mean, if you want to do stealth, like I think the smoke bomb would have been better to pick up.
Oh, smoke bombs are always for nerds, man.
Hey, I took the smoke bomb.
Yeah, of course
So
you did.
shut up.
It's good for stealth because it's a good way to lure people over to what you're doing.
Dude, the smoke bomb's really cool because you can, in the middle of a fight, you can just throw that out. Enemies will get like blinded by it, and then you can assassinate kill them.
Oh, nice.
It's really really helpful if you goof the stealth.
Actually, that does sound pretty useful. That does sound pretty useful, actually. Yeah, the wind chime's pretty. The wind chime is just your standard. It's basically just a generic whistle, really. You know, like in any open world game, you have like sometimes they give you a whistle. You have one in Zelda, you have one in Assassin's Creed. So just while you can sit in the bushes and just whistle at them, and they'll go, "Oh, what's that?" and walk over. That's just what the wind chime is, right? Except the wind chime makes more sense, right?
Yeah.
Because if someone in real life was whistling in a bush, you'd be like, "Who the fuck's whistling?" Right? Like, there's someone there. Like, wind chime makes more sense. But no, I haven't used it. You're right. It was a waste of upgrade points, and they're so like. It takes a while to get upgrade points in this game, like, especially if you're doing what I do. If you get, I'm sure you get more for doing missions, right? But for doing what I'm doing, which is just plodding around, yeah,
with like ability points on top of whatever you might get as far as experience goes.
Now, you see, for me, because I've just been wandering around exploring the world, I've had like hardly any upgrade points this entire time. So, yeah, very much if you want to upgrade yourself early on, main missions are the way to go. How do you feel about the side quest kind of structure in this game where you have to do X amount of like main quest? You can do X amount of like the first part of a quest will be main, and then some quests then split off into a side quest after that, to the point where you have like 9+ missions after that with the same person, but it's just like, oh yeah, what you just did there was part 1 of 9. I don't know, that was just really overwhelming to me in a way. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but just knowing that there's so much side content there was just a bit kind of just like, oh, I don't know what to do about this. What do you guys think?
I think it's good that they make the distinction of what's the main quest and what's the side quest.
For sure.
Days Gone really did this thing where they just kind of intertwined a whole bunch of the progression and did not make it clear what was main story and what was just side nonsense. And you had to do a lot of it to unlock a lot of the other stuff and progress forward. And that was a little annoying, especially if I ever want to replay that game. This, on the other hand, it gives you the main story introduction, and I assume whatever kind of main story interactions you may have with these people elsewhere will also be, highlighted in gold on the map. And the side stuff will just give you more context into who they are and what their story is.
Mm-hmm.
I think having distinction is really good.
Mm-hmm. The icon becomes white or silver, I guess, instead of the main gold. So this game genuinely does have a golden path. You just follow the gold icons until you're good to go. So hey, that's pretty good. But no, the amount of side content is crazy because I'm usually the kind of person where if you start a quest line, I'm the kind of person that tends to like to finish a quest line before moving on. So I was having this conversation with Kyle where I was like, I want to carry on with the main quests in a way, but at the same time, just having this guy say 2 of 9, I'm like, I don't want to at the same time because I know I'll get fatigued if I do all 7 of his missions in a row, like the remaining 7. But at the same time, just that mindset that I always have of finish what you're doing here first before moving on. It's just like, do the other 7, and I don't know. To me, it's kind of overwhelming knowing that I have to do that much to just deal with my OCD. It's kind of a double-edged sword in a way.
See, when I play games like this and I have and that they're going to be around for a while, I like to kind of pace out how much I'm doing for them at once that way. Because if they're real cool, I don't want to do all of their part at the beginning of the game and then spend hours without them later. That kind of suck.
Yeah, true.
So I kind of try to balance it out.
Yeah, I guess I'm like that in some games. It differs. Like for example, in Red Dead Redemption, I very much was that, where I'd back and forth between every character, so I wasn't left with one character, right? But at the same time, I didn't know how long each of those quest lines would go. Whereas where this game very nicely goes, hey, here you go, this guy's going to have 10 missions, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. But at the same time, I'm just like, yeah, but I know he has 10 missions, so if I just get them out of the way now, then I never have to come back here again. It's just my brain being stupid, but no. I kind of like how the side content, there are like the odd one, or there's like the odd ones side quests. They very much are just ones where it's just like, okay, this one's here, and it's just a one and done kind of thing. But I do kind of like how a lot of the side quests are structured around like certain characters in the world, and you just keep going back to them instead of it just being, fetch my horse or do this, like, just your generic side quests. They very much do revolve around characters, and still feel like the main game in a way because they are revolving around like core characters to the story.
Yeah, people who have some kind of importance to Jin and the society around where he grew up and all that.
Yeah. So there we go. Has anyone got anything else to add? Because I'm running out of things to say. Especially because you guys have done more than me. So yeah. Anything else? If you can't,
I think we've touched on everything I wanted to say.
Yeah, same here. It's just
game's
Hunter,
fun.
do you have any last? Yeah. I guess we'll ask for final thoughts then. For now. So yeah, what would you recommend it based on the little time you played so far?
Yes, 100%.
I feel like this is a running trend here. We haven't had this point yet where we say no, so I feel like one day it's going to be a great day where I ask the question, "Would you recommend it?" and someone says no.
Pick up and what I don't like.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like most of the time, especially when you're paying for the games yourself, you kind of have a bit of inside knowledge already going in that, hey, this is probably going to be good anyway. I'm probably going to like this. So I don't go out of my way to play bad games that often. But
I mean, I didn't know anything about this game until like a couple months ago. And just from like the little bit of gameplay that little gameplay trailer they released, I was just sold on the game immediately. Everything just looked so good. And happy to report, very good game.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I would very much recommend it, especially as now we go into a little bit of a drought. This is the fun part of the year where we have nothing to talk about, so we just have to pull this podcast like out of our arse for the next like 5 weeks. It's going to be great.
Woo!
As there's nothing. Nintendo, please announce a direct so we have a podcast, please.
Topics in the comments.
Yeah, if you have any ideas, that's a great suggestion. If anyone has any ideas for podcast topics that you'd like to do, God, I just can't speak today. I genuinely can't. If you have any ideas, Jesus, someone else want to host?
If you have any ideas for podcast topics,
Twitter or put it in the YouTube comments.
Yeah, go to @thegigersyt and leave us some suggestions, or leave them in the YouTube comments. We'd greatly appreciate it. God, my mouth is just not working today. I nearly fucked up that as well. Forget about it. Forget about it. So
No more staying up
we've
until
got
2 a.m. for you.
It's not going to take me that long, I promise. So while we're here, I guess I have a couple of little things that we can mention real quick. So one thing I do want to mention about Nintendo is, for a while, there's been this rumored direct that's supposed to have been happening on the 20th. Spoiler alert, it hasn't been announced yet as of recording, but some people in the industry are saying, hey, it still could happen. So my question is, do you think that we're getting a Nintendo direct recently, especially with Origami King?
Tomorrow?
Pardon?
As recent as tomorrow? I don't think
As
so.
recent as whenever, you take a pick. Also, my computer I hadn't moved my mouse, so my computer just like turned off, and I was terrified then that my fucking power went out or something. We're okay. But my question is, do you think we're going to get let's say it within the next 2 weeks. Do you think we're going to get Nintendo Direct within the next 2 weeks? That's my question to you right now.
No.
Because Origami King came out this week. Sam's playing it, and he's going to report on the podcast at some point about how he's feeling about it.
We couldn't get him this week. He's doing birthday things. Happy birthday,
It's his birthday
Sam.
today. Happy birthday, Sam, if you're listening to this tomorrow when it's no longer your birthday.
Happy belated.
Happy belated birthday, and I hope you're enjoying Paper Mario. Thanks for taking one for the team. So yeah, my question is, do you think we're getting a Nintendo Direct, say, before August? Because I feel like we need to. Nintendo's literally got nothing now.
I feel like there would be one before August.
I mean, it feels like it makes sense, but I also don't feel like they're going to produce anything more than like one of those little mini directs. What you're asking.
That's the thing with Nintendo is
they could just unceremoniously announce something else like they did with Paper Mario. Didn't that just get like a Twitter announcement?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was Paper Mario. Like, they're not going to roll the fucking carpet out and start the fucking brass band going for Paper Mario. Dude.
I woke up that morning and the first thing I saw on Twitter was just a Paper Mario trailer, and I'm like, neat.
Yeah, like that's the thing. No one was hyped, were they? So it was like, oh, what? Like, that's the thing. They knew what they were making. Dude. They knew that it was just like, cool, move on with our day. Like that was the kind of thing. So I'm like, yeah. So I'm gonna expect it. So I'm gonna say a couple of things that have been rumored in the Nintendo world, and you're gonna tell me if you think they're real or not.
Oh boy,
this is gonna be a fun game. And how much you actually want this? How much do you think it's gonna happen? And do you want it to happen? Two separate questions.
Cool.
So you don't let your personal bias. First thing is this Mario 35th anniversary collection bollocks that we've been hearing about all year. Right? Sorry, I'm not supposed to put my opinion in it. So there's this wonderful 35th anniversary Mario collection that's been rumored. What do you guys think? Do you think it's real at this point?
I mean, they seem to like doing anniversary things in some capacity, and remakes when they don't feel like making other games is right up their alley. Like Zelda Twilight Princess HD slotted, I think, one of the anniversaries for Zelda. Because it didn't come out.
Yeah, I'm still holding up hope that one day we get the Wind Waker and fuck it, the Twilight Princess port on Switch, dude. That's my one hope. They keep making these collections, right? Metroid Prime Trilogy is one of them, and the other one would be just bring Wind Waker back onto fucking Switch, dude. Don't leave that on the Wii U, because that port's so beautiful to leave on the Wii U. I'd love that port. And you can bring Twilight Princess over as well. That's cool too, I guess. But they didn't, in my opinion, they didn't do as near a good a job on that one as they did on Wind Waker.
I mean, compare the two art styles, and you'll see why.
Yeah, I know. Hey, I'm not asking for miracles, Hunter. I'm just stating the obvious. Dude. I'm just stating the obvious.
Wind Waker.
I'm just asking for Wind Waker, dude. It's the only Zelda game that I like that isn't Breath of the Wild. So please, Nintendo, I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, back to Mario. Do you think this 35th anniversary thing's real? Because every time I hear it, I'm like, this sounds like the most Nintendo thing ever. Like that they would just upscale the fucking Mario 64 again and sell it to Nintendo fans again. It just it makes too much sense to me.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked. Let's go with yes.
I think it's
cool.
also gonna happen. As much as
Do
I
you think
don't
that
care.
yeah. Do you think they're going to be actual remasters, or do you think it will just be an upscale job?
I feel like if it's as far back as Mario 64, they have to do a little more than just making the polygonal.
Yeah, but it's Nintendo,
Without the
Hunter. It's
polygons.
Nintendo. It's Nintendo. That's how the games always looked. They wouldn't want to ruin the nostalgia by finishing their game. Oops, did I say that? I mean, by polishing their game.
Haven't we shat on Mario 64 like all the time in this podcast? I feel like
Not
that's just a
enough.
running gag.
We haven't shat on it enough.
Well, let's do
I'd
it
like
again.
to
Mario
see...
64 is not good. Half the
also-
levels
It
aren't finished.
I'd rather play Sunshine.
Yeah. And I've never played Sunshine. That game's garbo.
Oh, we do love Mario.
I don't mind either of them. Smiley face.
No, it must be nice to live in your fucking rose-tinted world. It must be fucking nice not to see Mario 64 as a pile of garbage.
What's that like?
You know, I can only divide my anger between two games, and those are Resident Evil and Final Fantasy 15. Resident Evil 5.
Okay,
I have
a few
enough
more.
hate in my heart for everything.
Yeah. Okay, couple more. We kind of answered this one last week, but I'm just going to ask it to you again. And I'm not going to ask if we're going to see it, because I feel like we will if we do. The question is No More Heroes 3 coming out in 2020?
No.
Yes or no?
No, it's not.
No?
Oh, that makes me sad.
I think if anything,
I'm holding
it'll be
this
like
to you.
late Q1 next year.
I can see that.
It's going to be in like December.
Yeah.
Hey, Nintendo always likes releasing games in December. They did it with Xenoblade and they did it with Smash.
Yeah, but
so
No
I
More
wouldn't be
Heroes
surprised.
is like a holiday game.
Even with Xenoblade, but it still came out in
Arguable.
December. It still came out in December, but you know, we'll see. What else is there? Okay, will we see Bayonetta 3 this year?
No.
Perfect.
Do you mean as far as will we see something about it or see it?
Yeah,
released?
just something about it. Not even released this year. Will we see it? If there is a Nintendo Direct, will we see Bayonetta 3?
No.
No? Okay, cool. I'm glad that...
Something.
Do you?
I'm going to be optimistic.
Okay, you be optimistic about that one. I also agree with Hunter. I don't think we're seeing that game ever again.
Sad because Bayonetta is great, and I would love to see more of that.
Okay, very cool. Do you think we'll ever? Do you think I don't know why I'm asking this one. Do you think we'd see even a teaser for Metroid Prime 4? Yes or no?
No.
Cool. With Kingdom Hearts getting a release on Switch with Melody of Memory or whatever the fuck that game's called, will we see a 1.5, 2.5 collection for Switch?
Who cares?
This was for Kyle, really. This was for Kyle.
I already have it on PS4. I don't care.
Okay, okay. Cool. I'm sorry. And
unlike
I'll
you,
scratch.
unlike
I'll scratch off.
I'm not gonna buy another copy of the Kingdom Hearts collection.
Oh, I'd like to point this out. If they released it on Switch, I would not buy another fucking copy of Kingdom Hearts. I've learned my lesson. I'm also now going to scratch off Persona on Switch because I feel like I'm going to get the same answer of.
See,
I already own it.
Yeah, I already own it, but that's cool for all the people who are like, I would really love Persona on the Switch.
Yeah.
I would like to say, if they do release anything Persona on Switch, I will buy it. I'll still shill for Persona. Any of them, 3, 4, or 5. I'll 1 or 2 don't exist. Am I right?
Yo, high five.
I wish they would. I wish they did exist, but they just haven't aged well, man. Have you gone back and looked at gameplay? My God, they're pretty bad.
I just want Atlas to acknowledge them. That's all.
Do you think we see a Breath of the Wild 2 teaser if there is a Nintendo Direct?
If we do, it would be very short.
Cool. There we go. So if they do, it'll be very short, and yours is just a flat out yes, Kyle.
Yeah.
Will I up the ante? Do you think it'll be? Very short, Hunter. Do you think less than a minute?
Like maybe 2 or 3.
That's just a trailer then. That's just a trailer.
Yeah.
I was gonna say if you were betting that it was like
I was sitting there thinking, oh, are they gonna show like
no, not game, like just another trailer, right? Just like another trailer, not.
Although
like maybe showing a tiny bit of gameplay, but in a trailer sense, not like gameplay.
Less than in a minute, and I'd sit there and watch it like 80 times anyway.
I mean, you've got a point. You have got a point. I can't think of anything else related to Nintendo that we're still waiting on. Can you? What Bravely Default 2? Will that come out ever? I'm asking for that one person that will listen to this and be like, oh, finally, someone acknowledged Bravely Default 2.
Well, I don't know.
I don't care.
So
Perfect. This was a really great section of our podcast.
Me again when they make Octopath 2.
This is the filler section.
This is the filler section. Can you tell that I'm trying to get it to an hour, guys? Can you tell?
To hit an hour.
The Paper Mario rumor, wasn't there a rumor of like a 2D Metroid to go with that?
Yes, there was. Thank you, Hunter. I'd probably say yes, actually, to be honest.
Prime.
Yeah, I do too. I wouldn't be surprised if the people that made
I'm a developer, so I don't know the details, but it seems like it'd be easier to make, and they might already be further along.
I'd expect it. Yeah, I'd expect. If we saw anything Metroid, I think we'd see a new 2D from the people that made the 2 remake. Then, Metroid Prime 4, because I still think Metroid Prime. At this point, Metroid Prime 4 is probably going to be the last Switch exclusive. No joke, like genuinely, it'll probably be the last fucking Switch exclusive at this point. What was Alison? Was it? I think that's everything that we can cover that was in that leak. What
about Smash Bros?
Oh, well, that's a great question, Kyle. We're gonna do a filler episode on Smash Bros.
Oh, right.
Because one of our ideas that we are gonna do at some point is we're gonna bring Jack on.
Woo!
We might bring some other people on. I haven't decided yet. But we'll do a Fighters Pass prediction where all of us are going to, based on the sole fact of Min existing, predict the remaining 5, and then we're going to keep this and hold it. We're not allowed to predict anything else. Those are our 5.
Oh,
and
God.
Then we'll send them to the Great Beyond, and we'll have like a contest on who gets one right.
I don't know why, but the way you worded that reminded me of the SpongeBob Christmas episode when he puts people's letters to Santa in the bottle shooting machine and just shoots them up to the surface.
No, that's me right now, but sending fucking bottles to Sakurai.
Yeah.
Xenoblade 2 rep and fucking Sakurai sees it for the 25th time and is like, fuck you. No.
All right, fine. Here's Tora.
God, no. That's cursed. Yeah.
Not my fault you weren't specific enough.
Yeah. And by the way, if you're wondering why I chose Nintendo and not Xbox, it's because we literally know we're really bad. Like, I've said this before. We don't necessarily have a console bias towards it. It's just none of us really own an Xbox or like have any like nostalgia for their IP. Like, I've played Halo back in the day, but I lost my nostalgia for Halo back when Halo 4 came out. So, like,
the Series X
I don't like that
to get me to care about an Xbox that they have ever had before.
Hey, and we might talk about it on next week's podcast. Next week's podcast could be all Xbox if they should really go home on this show. Because they have Double Fine, which I really like. They have Obsidian, which I also really like. They have a load of developers that
they got Ninja
really have promising stuff, like have the talent to make some really great games. I just hope Microsoft doesn't do a Rare. That's my hope. Don't let Tim Schafer make what he wants. Let Obsidian make the Outer Worlds 2 or whatever they're working on right now. Let Hellblade be what it wants to be.
Yeah.
You know, that's just my one hope. So yeah, we'll talk about Xbox next week at least. But yeah, I just thought it'd be fun to do some Nintendo talk because Nintendo doesn't want to talk, so we'll talk for them. If they don't release a direct by August, we'll make one up.
We don't speak for Nintendo.
We don't. We do not speak for Nintendo.
Please.
Yeah, we don't speak for Nintendo. We have no idea what they're making. And don't worry, they'll probably disappoint us as well as you, so don't worry about it. On that positive note, I think it's time to wrap the show up because we're going to hit an hour, so it's all good, dude. We can wrap it up, dude. We hit the quota. This isn't how you should do a podcast, but hey, it's how we're doing it. It's all good. Hunter, where can people find you?
YouTube.com/ReaperHunter23.
Very cool. And Kyle, where can people find
You
you?
can find me on Twitter at KDavisSRL or on Twitch, twitch.tv/KDavisSRL. I'm trying to get better at enunciating my words instead of just blitzing through them.
Good idea.
I feel like that was like a personal attack against me.
No, that's a personal attack to me, because when we used to do these outros, I would just try and say words as fast as I could.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. You can find me at Chaotic Ether on both Twitter and Twitch. Good luck spelling it.
I'll never tell.
I'll never tell. But yeah, that's been our show. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, please go and hit subscribe on bit.ly/thegiggers. We'd really appreciate it. Genuinely. That's the one thing that we're trying to sell out for at the moment is subs on the YouTube channel. So please, if you haven't already, go subscribe. And if you have subscribed, go tell your friend to subscribe.
Go get two of your friends to subscribe, and then ask
it's not a pyramid scheme
to subscribe.
It's not a pyramid scheme. It's not a pyramid scheme, Mom. Leave me alone. It's a legal business, damn it.
Business in heavy quotations.
Heavy quotations. But yeah, that's been our show. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week for a new episode of HGO, and maybe something midweek about Xbox. We'll see. Probably will. But you'll have to check the Twitter out for that at TheGiggersYT. Keep you in the know about everything HGO. I said it. Ha 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 ha. I did the thing.
What a great time to not screw up talking.
Oh, perfect. I forgot about it. Genuinely. I actually forgot about that saying. But hey, I remembered it just when we needed it. So that's all that matters. But yeah, that's been our show. Thank you ever so much for listening. We'll be back next week with a topic. Which topic? Who knows? But you'll find out next week. Until then, it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.